Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the most recent edition of Title Tuesday, where we have Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, or better known as MVL, finally returning to the very top of this event after more than 2 years. The very last time that he had won Title Tuesday was already back in 2024 January, which has been a very long time. This time he scored an outstanding 10 out of 11 and winning the event outright without even needing tiebreaks. Very outstanding. Now, results like this have once again brought up a discussion that a lot of top chess players even have discussed in the chess world. So this is like a thing, or like not like a fact, but more like an opinion. And it is that if you are truly strong in bullet and blitz, or those online time controls, it usually reflects that you have a very high level of chess talent. And with proper, well-structured training, your classical chess strength will eventually continue to improve as well. Personally, in my opinion, again, I strongly agree with this view. We've seen many clear examples among young players. For example, in the United States, we have Andy Woodward, who is also the winner of the 2026 Tata Steel Challengers. He already has a blitz rating above 3,500 on chess.com. In Argentina, we also have the very legendary 10-year-old Faustino Oro continuing to impress against elite chess players, and at the same time he has an extremely high rating online. These players show exceptional intuition and also great instincts when it comes to time trouble. They have calculation speed and practical decision making as well, which is definitely related to online chess, especially blitz and bullet. Of course, there's an important condition here. If you only play blitz and bullet online without doing anything else, like any proper training or systematic work on openings, middle games, or end games, classical chess will not automatically improve, definitely that is. Classical chess, because it is classical, it has a very long time control, like for hours. Classical chess requires much more deeper calculation, deeper theoretical foundations, and also long, accurate calculations of the variations and everything. It's not something you can rely on only playing bullet and blitz. And you definitely cannot rely on pure instinct and speed alone, because it has 30-second increment. You don't really speed here doesn't really help. So from my own experience, my bullet and blitz rating on chess.com are right now all 2600, above 2600 that is, and I have a peak rating of over 2700. Although right now it has fallen a little bit, but my coach told me that sometimes these rating, when you play online, rating is not the most important thing, but it's more important to train your openings and also train your calculations, the speed, and also when it comes to those times where you need to depend on those intuitions and everything. This is the best benefit when you're playing online. It's not just about the rating. Definitely, if you have a higher rating, you'll feel proud of yourself and you can show off. But it's more important to learn from these games. So yeah, I truly believe that if I follow, or if I stay disciplined, I follow my coach's training plans and everything, and if I keep working constantly, my classical chess will continue to get stronger, which I think it is right now. Many people also ask me about my current FIDE rating, but actually I didn't really play much chess tournaments, and right now it's not very high. At least for me, it's not very high. My classical rating right now is only 1966. And my Blitz rating is just over 2,000. But like, I think for Rapid and Blitz rating, I didn't really play too much. I think only like 2 tournaments or something that involves Blitz and Rapid like tournaments. So I think, yeah, it's only above 2,000 right now, my Blitz. One major reason, of course, as I said, is that I've rarely played FIDE rated tournaments abroad, and most domestic tournaments events in China don't count for international ratings or so. So my main focus at the moment is simple. It's not about the rating and everything. Just train harder, choose the right tournaments, and improve step by step, slowly and smoothly towards my goals. So yeah, since we're talking so much about Bullet and Blitz chess today, it's only natural to bring up Title Tuesday, which is the main tournament on chess.com, and it has a time control of 5 minutes plus 1 second increment. So this is like one of the most popular online Blitz events where almost all top players, including Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, regularly compete. Of course, you need a FIDE title in order to compete because it is Title Tuesday, but I don't have one yet, although I could actually apply for a WCM, a Women's Candidate Master, although I think that one is, honestly, I'm not a big fan of it right now, so maybe later, when I get a higher title, I'll definitely apply for one so that I can play in these title events on chess.com. Alright, a lot of talkings, and right now, let's go back to our main topic today, which is Title Tuesday, and the main character, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, with an outstanding win. And now let's take a closer look at the brilliant games that carried MVL to his long-awaited Title Tuesday victory. Alright, so before I show you guys the game, I'm going to quickly take you guys at a look of this tournament. It is the Speed Chess Championship. Actually, it's 2025 because the finals, the semifinals are played in 2026 in London, but the eliminations and everything, the knockouts are finished in 2025. So yeah, this tournament right now, there are 4 players who are going to be playing: Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, Alireza Firouzja, and Denis Lazovic, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a look at it. Oops, wait a second. Yikes. Not this one. Yeah, it's these 4 players. They're going to be competing in London. It's a lot of fun, and hope you guys will enjoy it. The time I'm recording this video, it is February 6th. So this tournament is going to start in February 7th, tomorrow. And also, there's one thing. I'm actually updating a video earlier than before, because before, usually I come home from school on Saturday and I record the video on Sunday, but this time I actually got a little bit sick and I came home a bit earlier, so right now it is Friday, so I'm just gonna record it earlier and that's it. Alright, now back to our main topic today, Title Tuesday. This tournament right now, this is the longest running and strongest weekly Blitz tournament for title players. And the Grand Prix is a leaderboard competition for Title Tuesday that serves as the qualification path for the Esports World Cup. Alright, and now let's jump into this game this game, in my opinion, is one of the most decisive games for Maxime Vachier-Lagrave to win this whole title for him. So yeah, white is Oleksandr Bortnyk, who is well known for his online Blitz and Bullet especially, although he is also an extremely strong grandmaster in classical chess. And MVL, here he is with the black pieces. This is round number 9, so really important. Maxime is with the black pieces, and let's see how he has shown his great instincts, intuitions, and his fast calculation in this game to beat his opponent, who is also a really strong player with great intuitions and instincts. Alright, so Bortnyk here plays d4, and we have knight c3, bishop f4, e6, knight b5, and knight a6, e3. So this is the Chigorian variation, and here bishop e7, h4, bishop d7. Right now, both players, they didn't really spend much time, as you can see on the clock. And here bishop d7, here h5 was played. Now h5 is a little bit inaccurate. It's better to play a4 here to defend this knight, even though the bishop is defending it right now, but a4 can improve the protection, or to increase the protection of this b5 knight, and also to gain more space on the queen side at the same time. But like h5 is not like a losing move or anything, just a slight inaccuracy here. Quite aggressive, but sometimes these aggressive moves, they have a really nice effect on your opponent because it looks scary and you don't have enough time to really calculate how to apply to it. Well, here in this case, MVL, he played h6 really fast, and this is the best move. So here knight f3, developing his knight. Bishop takes b5. Now this is like a move that the computer doesn't really like. It's better for black to just simply go short castle, and again, white's best move is to go a4. For black here, it's most likely better to play bishop e8 here, and it looks quite weird, but the bishop on d7 doesn't really do anything, and on e8, it can open up this file for the queen and everything. This rook on f8 right now, it is quite weird on f8, but let's say, for example, white continues to develop. The idea here for black is to play c6. And let's say after this knight goes back, the idea here, it is actually to play knight b8. Can you imagine? Like retreating all the pieces on the to the very back rank. But the idea here after knight a5, for example, here, knight b7, because this knight on a6 is really bad. It is on the a file, the very left side of the board, and it can't really do anything here. And also, as a rule, in general, when the position, as you can see, this position is really close, the pawn structure are fixed. So in this case, even though it might seem that black is wasting a lot of tempies, but actually because the position is closed, white also doesn't really have any clear ideas to attack immediately on black. So black has time to reroute his pieces to better squares, and in this case after knight bd7, and you see that the bishop on e8, the point is that giving this d7 square for this knight, and then let's say after some trades, the bishop can now come up, and with the idea of maybe going c5 in the future. So black here actually has a slight initiative because white, as you can see, also can't really do anything. You see that black is rerouting his pieces, like wasting a lot of moves, it seems that, but white at the same time also doesn't have a clear idea. So, but of course, that's a lot of calculations, and instead here, MVL decides to take on bishop b5 immediately. He doesn't want to wait, and after bishop takes b5, he plays c6 immediately. But now, after bishop d3 back, the point is that white has the bishop here, and in this case, these two bishops are actually having really open diagonals to cooperate. So here, MVL decides to trade or get rid of white's bishop pair by playing knight b4, threatening to take. And here, Bortnyk decides to go back, saying that I'm not going to let you win my bishop pair, and he plays bishop e2. c5. Opening up the position, because at this point you see that if black doesn't really play c5, a3 is coming, and this knight will have to go back to a6, and that is a really bad position. So c5 somehow is like a forced move here, because now after c3, this knight can successfully jump back to c6, which is much better than it is on a6. So after knight c6 here, Bortnyk plays knight e5, jumping straight into this very strong e5 square, short castle, bishop d3, since now that there's no longer knight b4 to attack the bishop. And here, knight d7. As you can see, MVL, he is not playing that good in the opening and playing another mistake, which is knight d7. And the point is that after knight takes d7, queen takes d7 here, white can now play bishop c2, which is a very quiet move, but a really deadly move at the same time, with the idea of queen d3 threatening checkmate on h7. So it's really hard to prevent that. And after queen d3, most likely black can just play f5. But then this is like a really bad structure. It's definitely not what black wants. But here, so you might ask, what is the best move for black? The best move for black is most likely to play bishop d6, and it is in black's favor to trade off the minor pieces. Let's say after takes, a knight versus bishop position middle game will be better for black, because with only this bishop on the board and this knight is also defending the h7 square, black is going to improve his position on the queen side, and here black is slightly better. But instead, after knight takes d7, queen takes d7, bishop c2 here would have just been better for the white pieces. But unfortunately here, Bortnyk went for this other move, which seems also it's possible, but not the best move, and it gives away quite a lot of the advantage, and it is queen g4. Still, white is better and threatening to play bishop h6 because of this pin on the g file. And it looks quite scary because now black no longer has this knight on f6 to defend these very crucial squares and everything. But still, it is holdable for black. And here MVL plays f5. It's more like only move, because you could also play, let's say, king h8 or something. But after bishop c2, again with the idea of going queen e2, queen d3, again, white has to at some point play this idea, because the queen on g4 doesn't really attack anything. Only threatens bishop h6, but now the king moves away and bishop h6 is no longer possible. So after queen g4 here, f5 was played. But this is definitely not a good structure for black, because all of these squares are quite weak. The queen goes back to g3, king h8, rook d1. But even though the structure is not great for black, but it does have one benefit for black, which is it blocks this diagonal completely for the light square bishop, and no longer there's any ideas of going this way to threaten checkmate or this type of ideas. But it also weakens these star squares that black needs to be careful about. And after rook d1 here, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave decides to play rook d8. We have here short castle and c5 to close up the position. The position gets more closed, and now white's bishop pair gets less active and less effective. After bishop e2 back, bishop d6, now offering a trade of bishops. Queen h4. Now this is a slight mistake. White should have just trade everything basically. And even though this position, this bishop might seem quite weird because all of these pawns are light squares and the bishop can't really attack any of them, but white can try to play b3 and after b5 to play rook b1 to try to open up some files. But I think at this point, most likely it is going to be a draw. The reason that even though black has a knight in such close position, but black is still not better, is because this knight on c6 doesn't really have a good outpost. It can't really attack anything, just like this bishop. So this position, in my opinion, white is still slightly better, but most likely a draw. Because it's so, the pawn structure is just so balanced and everything. But it's a far, far away idea, and instead of playing bishop d6 here, queen h4 was played. But it's somehow wasting a tempi, and it doesn't do anything here. b5. MVL decides to go for attack on the queen side, which is the side who is better, because he has a bigger space advantage there. f3. Black attacks on the queen side, so that white now attacks on the king side. That is the idea, because white doesn't really have any advantage on the queen side, and he needs to try to create counterplay on the king side, or else he just wait to let black open up on the queen side and win. So he has to play something on the king side. Well, this is like a tongue twister. Anyways, f3 with the idea of maybe going g4 at some point. So here bishop takes f4 and e takes f4. But actually it is better to play queen takes f4, because e takes f4, this structure is just not that ideal for the white pieces. And after e takes f4, already at this point, you see this bishop on e2, it is a disastrous piece. It is blocked by its own pawns. It can't really attack anything. Whereas for this knight, even though right now it can't do anything, but at least it is better than this bishop or something. Also, well, let's see how MVL improved his position. Queen e7, going for a queen trade. And here, queen h3. You see, Bortnyk, he is not really into the idea of trading pieces to simplify the position. And here he plays queen h3. Queen d6. But the f4 pawn is now hanging, and he has to go back. a5, pushing the pawns on the queen side. rook e1, b4. It looks like this e6 pawn is a bit weak because it can never be pushed to e5 since the square is being controlled by these two pawns. But who needs to push this pawn? White also is having trouble on how to attack it. Doubling the rooks doesn't do anything because black can just defend it like this way. So basically, black doesn't have any weaknesses, but for white, now his queen is on the complete opposite flank, or the opposite side of the real action of the chessboard. The real action now is happening on the queen side, but this queen is like far, far away from the action. So white is already in trouble. Bishop f1, rook b8. You see that Bortnyk is definitely trying to double the rooks to attack the e6 pawn, but black just defends it with the rook f6. Although actually knight d8 is a better way to defend it, because the knight now defends it and the rook can most likely go this way to double on the b file, which makes more sense. But rook f6, still black is better, and after a4, rook b3, queen g3, and here a slight inaccuracy by MVL. He played knight b8 with the idea of going knight d7, I suppose. With the idea of going knight d7 maybe, and then knight b6 to attack the a4 pawn. But it is actually better for him to play this move, knight d8. Now, what is the point behind this move, knight d8? Well, the idea is that, for example, let's say white just goes here to defend. Now, let's say, actually rook a1, there's rook a3. For example, let's say white makes a waiting move. Well, then this knight here, actually the main purpose for this knight is to defend the e6 pawn. And let's say if white makes a waiting move, but now the queen can just now successfully go into the position. And with this knight defending this e6 pawn, this rook can also at some point go this way to to be involved in the real action and everything. But here, knight b8 also seems quite attractive for the black pieces. And here MVL plays knight b8. And also now, note that the time usage of these two players. MVL still has 3 minutes left on the clock, whereas for Bortnyk, only 1 minute left. So already there's also a huge time difference between them. Queen f2, but it's already really hard for white to defend. Queen e2, queen takes f4. Now it's still better for black to wait and play knight f8, wait for the best moment to come into the position and take this pawn. But MVL got a little bit hurried, and instead he played takes, queen f4, rook e6, allowing white to at least gain a little bit of counterplay. There's this check, king goes up, and now actually, if white had played this move queen e7, this would end it in a draw. Because the queen and the rook are now into this territory of black's, and black needs to be careful. Even though black can take on d4, but after king h2, suddenly there's not a clear idea of how black is going to improve, but giving this perpetual check and everything. Let's say if black plays knight f8 or something, obviously you cannot take, because after takes, you lose the rook on e1. But after knight f8, let's say you play something like rook c8, although white needs to be really accurate, and black still cannot improve his position. So this is going to be a draw, but it's not that easy to see, and instead Bortnyk played this losing move, in my opinion, queen f2. The eval bar does not like this move, and after this move, rook f7, preventing any ideas of white's rook going to the 7th rank to create counterplay. And here the rook comes to d8 with this dream of going rook e8 and then threatening checkmate on h8. But unfortunately, MVL here plays knight f6, and then there's just nothing that white can do to play rook e8, or nothing else that he can do. Rook e5, one last try, but it doesn't really attack anything. And after knight takes h5, that is a free pawn, rook takes d5, and knight g3 here, suddenly black's position is just completely winning, white's position falling apart. Because let's say if you take this pawn, the idea is now rook c1, and this bishop is just going to fall, and black is going to be up material. And it is unstoppable. If you go back, there's queen h4 threatening checkmate on h1, and if you go here, there's check. If you go out, there's actually now queen h4, or even knight e4 is winning, so a winning position. And as you can see at the very end, Bortnyk only has 16 seconds left on the clock, whereas MVL still has 1 minute on the clock. This could also show that he has great intuition, great instincts, and very fast calculations. So yeah, this game also, besides the time usage or also the calculation thing, we can learn a lot from these techniques, like the maneuver of the knight and everything. You know, like Blitz and bullet games, some people, they think that you can't really learn much from it. I think bullet, it's more like fun, definitely. But for Blitz, it's like a bit more serious. You do get to train the new openings that you have learned. You can learn from like the reviews of the games. So yeah, I think it is really important to play online games as well, although you do need to combine it with some effective and some effective training from your coach or something. Like you also have to improve your openings, middle games, end games. So yeah, you have to combine those online games with your analysis and reading books as well. A lot of different types of training methods, and different people, they have different training methods that suits them. But yeah, right now, hope you guys enjoyed this game as well as this whole video. Next time, most likely in my next video, I'll do a recap of the Speed Chess Championship or maybe some upcoming new tournaments. But right now, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my recap of this game, and thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!